Great introductions, thank you. So what we are going to do next is we've got these yes-no questions. So everybody's had the questions beforehand, so we know that yes-no is not everybody's cup of tea, and there's nuance. So, but we're not doing nuance today, we're just doing yes and no's. Just wait while everybody finds their 2 bits of paper. So these are the ones we asked the ward councillors as well, so we'll rattle through these. First of all, will you support amalgamation of Wellington City Council with other areas in the region, yes or no? And we're just making sure that we get all of that on video, so that it's going live on our Facebook page, or not. Thank you. Next question, because we're sitting right here outside this entrance to the Mount Vic tunnel, is will you support a second or indeed third Mount Victoria tunnel, yes or no?
Longer.
Okay. Here's, okay, you got that, bro? Yep. Making the city accessible and inclusive for all is a strategic direction in the long-term plan of many policies. Safe, vehicle-free and pleasant footpaths are essential to encourage more walking and accessibility in our city, yet there are many issues. Will you ask for better council regulation of e-scooters, getting them off our footpaths and stricter compliance with the e-scooter code of practice, yes or no? Thank you. On the transport theme, are you in favour of congestion charging and tolls to make vehicle users fund the costs of tunnels and roads, as far as the local council can go anyway? Yeah. Good. Right, Drew. Next question. Do you support council owning public housing through its chip Te Toi Mahana and the necessary upgrades of that to that housing, yes or no? This is Wellington City Council provides over 1,900 affordable homes. You covered yours up, Dave.
Intentionally, it's not a yes, no.
It's not a yes.
Okay. So next question on housing stall. Do you think our character and heritage areas are worth protecting, yes or no? Thank you. And part 2 of that is, would you vote to remove more character or heritage protections? If that happened. Sorry,
Just ask that question again, please.
So it's, would you vote to remove more character or heritage protections?
We had a vote.
So in the future, if that came up, Rob, would you say yes or no? We've just gone through this with the district plan. Yeah. Thank you. So this is a very Mount Vic one, it's testing your knowledge in a way. Would you support making the Canal Reserve more of a usable park for local residents of Mount Vic and the inner city? Because we know the inner city doesn't have enough green space. And we've already identified, we know where the Canal Reserve is. Everybody know between Kent and Cambridge Terrace. This should be an easy one. Do you have governance experience? We need policy development, funding arrangements and monitoring outcomes.
You've got on.
Oh yeah, that's fine.
So, some of them are on, that means no.
Oh,
Okay. And so I've just rephrased that climate change one a teeny bit, hopefully make it a bit clearer. Do you support Wellington City Council taking climate change action? Thank you. Now we've come to the end of the yes-no questions. What are we going to ask next?
Community.
How about the engagement one then? Okay. How are you involved in your community now? And how will you gather people's views if elected to council in the future? start here.
And is this 1 minute?
1 minute.
1 minute.
1 minute, sorry.
Yeah. Make it crunchy.
Thank you. The question was, how am I involved with my community? I've served as a Justice of the Peace for the last 23 years. I've been actively involved in my community as a councillor. I currently run a national motorcycle club, and we've been going to the Hawke's Bay and digging out houses for the last 2.5 years. That might give you an idea about my commitment to my community. I'd love to sort of see that sort of stuff grow so that we can do that for other areas in the country when that happens to them. And Nelson's a very recent example. So I think that I've talked to a few MPs about it. I think it's time we had something like a civilian army that can respond to those things to get communities back on track as soon as we can. And you could use the Defence Forces to actually augment that for accommodation with tentage and that sort of thing. That's immediately after disasters. But I love my community and I love serving it. Thank you.
All communities. I've been involved in many communities. I do have a few skeletons in the closet because of that. We all do. I mean, mine happen to be real skeletons, but that's okay. On the subject of the Wellington community, though, rewilding is a fantastic way of building community connection. You can absolutely guarantee that a Pennywise mayoralty will be very carefully listening to every single voice which supports our plans. Because it has such a wonderful contribution. And I would say, backed by an awful lot of scientific evidence, that close connections to nature is a fantastic way to boost well-being. Kia ora.
Engagement, how are you involved in your community? I support about 6 suburbs: Newtown, Berrimport, Mount Vic, community meals, Friday community dinner, cooking, Brooklyn, Tawa, Island Bay, lots of churches, supermarket, shops, library, attend meetings, council committee, every 8 weeks, age concern, exercise, buses, seniors, social drama group, great. Donald and test the honesty of Rob Fixers, council. Donald better than some of the others, 0 honesty. Fines, including 120 voluntary if you overstay 30 minutes. You pay a voluntary. You don't escape. Even if you didn't get a ticket, you have to pay 120. Dominoes all shops, yellow line parking, expiry registration. Participate right answer timely. Participate right answer timely. Is what time up? No.
You can keep going if you want. Obviously, I've got my predator-free work, which I'm very proud of. Apart from that, I do a lot of planting in our community. I've got my own adopt-a spot in Trellissick Park. Has anyone ever been to Trellissick Park?
Yes.
I've got my adopt-a spot right by my home there because I'm adjacent, and also I'm the adopt-a spot manager there. And that would be a great project to put across the whole city and all the reserves, not just Trellissick Park. Apart from that, I've done a lot of work with government and the community. I was on something called getting 4.7 million people working in biosecurity. Unfortunately, that morphed into a team of 5 million. Let's not go there. But certainly, I've had a lot of involvement with the community, all 5 million of you along the way. Thank you.
Engagement. I stay involved in my community by attend events. I'm committee member of Onslow Residential Community. Onslow Residents Community Association and Dongden Tennis and Squash Club. I'm also a member of Rotary Wellington North and help with their digital communication. If I get elected to council, I will heavily rely on residential association. I will actively listen to community members and attend public meetings, talk to community leaders, surveys, and online platforms. I believe in open communication. and I value diverse perspectives to make informed decisions that truly reflect the needs of our communities. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm a constituent councillor. For the last 3 years, I've run 3 constituent meetings every month, and I talk to people. I attend an average of 14 community events per month as well. So I'm also the council representative on the Ethnic Advisory Group and also on Multicultural Council. So I engage with people all the time. I live in Broadmeadows now, but I was actually brought up in the city. In Jesse Street, I was born maybe 1 kilometre away from here. I went to school at St Mark's up here and Wellington High School just over there. So I know the inner city well. I believe in engaging with people. I believe in having town hall meetings like this. The council doesn't believe in these anymore. They don't want to engage with people. I do. So I'm always out talking to people. I know probably half the bus drivers' names of my 24 route because I catch the bus in every day. I know a lot of the names of the people who are off sleeping on the streets from Manor Street, Willow Street and Lambton Quay, because when I catch the bus down, I walk down and I talk to them. And I talk to them about their issues. So anyone who calls me, contacts me about any problems, I will always respond to them. Thank you.
I first stood for council 9 years ago. I came out of my community, out of a small residence group, and we really wanted to be heard, and I thought it was better to be inside the tent than outside the tent. So I've always been a strong community advocate, not just for my local area, but as I've got to know the broader communities around the city. And I think it's important not to be a person, but we do a lot of communication also via social media. So we've got to look at all different channels to make sure that we are listening, hearing from you. But it's all very well listening. We've got to act on what we hear. And that's been the issue. We've listened, but we haven't done anything about it. And that's where, just in the last few weeks, I've seen one party political councillor leave the meeting because they didn't want to vote for a particular resolution because it would have gone against their party policy. So they left the room while the vote was being taken. Now, I want to make sure that people are able to vote and listen to you and act on that because we're here as your representative. Thank you.
With my stores, I've spoken to thousands of people over the last 21 years, and that's pretty much how I engage with the community. So I actually do speak. I'm very open and willing to chat to anyone, really. I quite like talking to people. I think one of the things about the council is at the moment we are not listening to the public and we think that we know the answers. I truly believe that we don't know the answers. No one here knows the answers. The community does. So I think we really need to have a council that's listening to everything that people are saying. So we need to change the culture of the council so that we're actually open to listening to people and we're engaging on a really regular basis. That's really one of the main changes I want to make in the council because the council's got to start performing better for us rather than actually trying to dictate to us how we live our lives. Thank you.
After 12 years in public service and then 11 years before that leading a union, I've actually spent the last couple of years focusing on reconnecting with my neighbours and many of my friends who I haven't seen much for a long time. The extent of my community involvement is to support the local school, Alaba School, where my wife works, and support my son in the sports club that he's actively involved in. Engagement is very important, both as an opposition MP and as a minister. Every time I got a new portfolio, the first thing I did was immediately arrange to meet with the various interest and advocacy groups that went with those particular areas. In health, that was literally dozens of organisations. And then to set up a schedule of meetings with the key or lead organisations. So I was meeting with them sort of 3 or 4 times a year. That's really important. It's important for the interest groups and the advocacy organisations. But it's also really important just to be out and about, engaging with people and picking up on everybody's views about sort of the things that are going on, just to take the temperature and see what's happening.
It's getting late, but I think we've got things squeak and 2 more short questions. So we talked about water and rates a bit earlier, so I want to ask a question we didn't get around to before. As you know, in July next year we're going to move to a new water management system called Metro Water. So I would like to ask candidates, What role, if any, do you see for councillors in our water and wastewater management from next year?
The council will continue to have a very important role. The new entity will be obviously a separate entity. The shareholders will be the councils of the Wellington region. It is intended to operate on a sort of arm's length independent basis and on sort of commercial imperatives. But elected councillors are still politically responsible for that organisation. So it's very important that the council, mayors of actually owning councils, are able to advocate strongly for the interests of the people who put them there and the people ultimately who are paying for the organisation through the water charge that will come through their bill.
This is a pretty tricky question because there's not going to be a lot we have an opportunity of changing within the structure once it's done. So I mean, for us to promise anything is quite crazy. But what we do need to do is we need to make sure that we are keeping an eye on it and making sure that there's not obvious cost blowouts happening in it and we're getting what we need done on a regular basis. And where we have issues with it, we're actually putting our hands up and saying this is just wrong. But the problem is it's actually under our control, so we can't really promise too much on that, but we can advocate as much as we can to make sure that it's doing what it's supposed to for Wellingtonians.
While we've got the new Wellington Water Metro being set up, we're still working through the governance arrangements. At the moment, it's sort of one council, one representative, but we have about half of the connections and we represent half of the region. So as a council currently, we're working through trying to get better representation, trying to get a bit more say, to at least try and match or come close to that we hold half of the connections. And that's going to be really important going forward because we've got to make sure that the work is prioritised appropriately. We won't be able to, like we can't now, afford everything all at once. One of the key things is always about stormwater because as we want to develop the city, where does the runoff go? And so it's going to be really important that we stay connected and we provide that advocacy on behalf of the residents of Wellington City. Thank you.
Thank you. As Diana's actually just mentioned, she's absolutely correct. In the current Metro water system, we have 1 vote out of 7. That is unacceptable. We pay half the cost of running Metro water. We have half the subs, half the number of connections in the region, and yet we have 1 vote in 7. So we need to change that. Otherwise, we won't be able to represent our constituents. We won't be able to represent Wellingtonians. So when you report leaks, when you report any problems in Wellington City, we need to be able to respond immediately. We can't do that if we're constantly getting outvoted. Now, this is the situation with Wellington Water, so we need to change that before we actually get the new Metro water system going. Thank you.
To be honest, the main reason I would like to stand for this local election is because the water, the leaking pipe. Because I remember the other summer day, and then our watering level is like you can't water your garden every day. You have to water every 2 or 3 days. I can't remember what day it was. So it really, I was so frustrated with this. So that's what my main reason for standing. So if I get elected, I will spend half of my energy on this issue, and the other half energy I will deal with other issues, but we also heavily rely on our residential associations because they are our front line of the community concerns. And second, I would just like DM and Ray mentioned, I would like to increase our voting power because at this moment we only have 1 out of 7 voting powers, but we have 50% of funding. So I would like to change that relation. Number 3 is I would like to commit to 2 terms. So I will behave. Thank you.
I lived in Auckland for 7 years. We used to get 2 bills instead of 1. It used to drive me absolutely nuts. So hopefully they can put all of it on 1 bill because we're going to have our regional rates, our WCC rates, and then our water rates. obviously when the assets get taken away from us, our rates bill is going to drop. It's going to give us more room to borrow more money. You should be frightened. You should all be really frightened. I think the council needs a page, a data page that tracks inflation, rates, water, so people know exactly where the money's going, because it's going to become very, very blurry when we have regional council, Wellington City Council and water all independently spending our money randomly, and as some of the other councillors have said, the governance structure is less than adequate. So there's going to be some yelling and screaming, that's all I'm going to say.
Now I'm going to ask you, did you know half the people are running the tap continually? Okay, that's not a good. Now, I stand for log job. They should fix the answer. Do the right, they have to do the right, honest and timely and succinct. And it's going to be a proper sign off. Now, you give them a job, they say, job resolved. What do? They just didn't even look at it. And then you ask, this happens to all the jobs, 1 million of them, and you ask Lagoima, how many of those are they doing? And they refuse to answer. And that question was helped by Councillor Terry O'Neill from one of the chairs of the committee. But nothing they did. They don't do the facts. While council never give a clear answer, they refuse. I say, Donald, straight talk. Don't assume they did it, and they challenge this population, because they didn't do it. They say they did it, but where's the proof? Nothing. They didn't do anything.
Mayoral tato under a pennywise mayoralty. To be honest, we might actually get into a bit of trouble with old Simon Watts, because our plan is basically to renege on the whole thing. The idea is that we're going to be saving billions of dollars by not investing anything in our water infrastructure. In fact, it's going to be rainwater tanks in every single house and composting toilets, which is going to be fantastic for rewilding plants, fantastic for growing trees, fantastic for all of that, but there is just one, and we will save billions of dollars, because it's going to cost billions of dollars to deal with all that damage from the Kaikoura earthquake and all of that sort of stuff, which isn't really talked about. But the catch is that you won't have any running water. But we can work it out, it'll be fine. Get it. Wrong.
Thank you. I'll just come to it. Firstly, we lose 47% of our potable water. Guess where it goes? Straight down the drain. We're not following our own KPIs as a councillor, as a council. You used to bring up about a leak to the call centre and it needed to be looked at within 12 days. I had 3 leaks in my street and they were leaking 50 litres of potable water per minute for 3 months. It's unacceptable to waste such a precious resource. Andrew and Carl are right, the organisation's nearly set up now, the new one after Dame Kerry's report. Ray is right, we need more than 1 vote out of 7. There needs to be proper scrutiny and audit. I'd like to see that the recommendations in Dame Kerry's report, which were quite wide-reaching, are implemented, and that the new organisation that we set up, and this is for, I guess, the Mayor and the new council to check, that it's fit for purpose to protect what is our most precious resource.
Thanks, Senator. So I've got one more question off the floor. I'm not allowed to stand in front of the speaker. And it's not on your list. So, but it's a question that everybody's going to be asked at this election. It's part of the referendum. So, if you would please stand up if you support the Maori ward.
It's not my choice. Can we say what?
No, this is it's after 9. It's been a long day for some people who've been at council since 9 o'clock this morning. This is a job they've taken on. So I'd just really like to, can't do that. I'd just really like to thank all the candidates for coming. It's a fantastic effort. It's a big ask standing up and putting yourself forward for this and doing all your opinions in front of lots of people. So a big round of applause for everybody. There's cookies and a cup of tea over there if you want to chat with people in the meeting. Thanks very much.